Hello, welcome back to another episode of Internal Rambles. This is your girl, Rochelle. If you are new, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you for tuning back in. Internal Rambles is a very eclectic podcast. I talk about everything from my life, my career, trending entertainment topics, music, etc. My normal episodes releases every Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My bonus content, which could be my reality show recaps, my unconventional book club, Read with Rochelle. We're currently reading the memoir of Fat Joe, the Book of Jose. I also have the male perspective with Gio, my close friend, and we talk about various topics, a lot of different things that happen over here. You can reach me pretty much anywhere that you get your podcast content. Please subscribe to me so that you get my episodes immediately. Leave me a review, rate me, please, so that I know what you think of the podcast. It also helps me as far as just to know if I'm on the right track, if you're feeling what I'm doing over here. I also release my episodes on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe over there. I really appreciate you for listening today. My normal Thursday episodes start off with either Rochelle's raves, which is something I'm positive about, something that has happened to me that I'm excited about, something I'm looking forward to, or Rochelle's rants, something that's upsetting me, that's agitated me, something that is getting on your girl's nerves. And so today I actually have a rave. So today's rave, I actually have two things. And my first rave is that I actually had a good day today, which is very general, but I was kind of apprehensive about something and it worked out fine. And so it's just nice to be able to say, like, today was a good day, right? Q and Ice Cube. But my other more specific rave, as I mentioned in my last podcast episode, that my weekend was going to be really super busy and that I had a lot going on, and I had a really good weekend. I mentioned that Martin Luther King weekend, it was my youngest brother's 25th birthday, and we had a lot planned, and we had a really great time. Just a few events, just kind of celebrating him, and he seemed really appreciative. And he can be he's the baby of the family, and he knows it, right? He can be kind of bratty and okay, but he seemed to really appreciate everything and really enjoy, and we had a great time. And it just was nice to have the family together, almost all the siblings, because my older brother, he relocated out of town last year, so he did come to town, but it was like super in and out, so I did not get to see him. But my younger brother did get to see him. So my brother got to see all of his siblings, and we had a good time and just celebrating him. And 25 milestone birthday, quarter of a century. And it was nice that he really was appreciative and seemed to really enjoy. And I know he hung out with his friends, and me and my sister was like, yo, what's the plan for the night? We knew he wasn't going to let us come, but, he went out and had a safe time and came back, and that's what's important. Live your life, but be safe, okay? And then I just had other stuff that I had to do, and so it was crazy because I just had the most busiest weekend. So it was just like fam time, but I had a really productive weekend, just getting some stuff done for myself. So I was really proud of that, because a lot of times when I be having a lot going on, it's hard to get stuff done for myself sometimes. But yeah, I had stuff to do, and I'm glad that it was a busy weekend, but also a productive weekend. So, yeah, I had a really great weekend. So I hope you had a great MLK holiday weekend. And that is my rave for this podcast. All right, so just a really super quick programming note I had already mentioned that I'm back to my reality show recaps. Mentioned that I have started to recap the new season of Ready to Love, but there would be times that I would have to double up on those recaps, and I was like, there's no way. When I tell you my weekend schedule was jam-packed. So I did watch the episode, but I will have to double up on those recaps. So be on the lookout for the next recap of Ready to Love. It will be a 2-episode recap, and I'll get that out to you this upcoming weekend. And then the next episode of The Male Perspective with G.O., if I can't get that out to you end of January, I'm pushing for beginning early February. We'll get that out to you. So just some quick podcast programming announcements. And so let's get into this episode today. I hope that you are doing well. And let's get into what I'm going to talk about for this podcast episode. Alrighty, so today I'm going to do a little bit of life stuff and some entertainment stuff, and then we'll get on up out of here again. So I have a few episodes since I began this podcast just talking about I have been trying to buy a house for 2 years. The market, if you have been trying to buy a house or have thought about it, you would know the housing market has been cray. So haven't been able to do it. I've made offer, whatever. It's just the competitiveness and the overpricedness. Is that a word? It's not. Okay. And just I've went through several realtors. It's been a whole ordeal, okay? So I'm not currently actively looking for a home, but I'm gearing back up for that soon. So just kind of trying to gear myself up for that. I've been passively looking at homes, just kind of seeing what is out there, and y'all done bought up all the houses. Okay. I've just been passively looking at listings, and I'm not interested in none of these houses, which is not a bad thing because it's not time for me to buy. But also I'm just trying to see, is there any good stuff out there? Child, no. Hopefully that changes starting springtime. That's when I'm going to be more actively looking. I believe springtime, late spring, somewhere around there. So I bring that up because I've been in my home for quite some time, and around this time, my last place, I wanted to move. It took several years, and I know people was like, you ain't gonna move. It wasn't that I wasn't trying to move. It just either financially, I was like, okay, no. But then it got to a point where I was looking online. I would go see places, or whatever it was, but I could not find what I wanted. I was ready, but you have to, make sure that it's the place for you. I'm not going to just move into any old thing and then be miserable. No. I know in my life when it's time, when it's not, it don't be my time, it be God's time. I say this all the time. I could want something, but if it's just not the time for that to happen, it's not going to happen. So patience is the key. I'm a very impatient person. The problem with me though is I am a planner, but I have moments of impulsivity. So what I have been doing recently, I just want to move. It's like you be somewhere for so long. It's like, okay, I'm ready for a change. Okay, I get it, right? So I have been looking at, okay, if I don't buy a home, I'll just find somewhere else different to rent. And I know what I want. Okay. I see it in my head. It is what it is. But the price point is ridiculous. Like, I don't really want to be eating oodles and noodles every day. It just would have to financially make sense, but also if I do move and for the what I want, and potentially if I move and I go rent, the ability for me to continue to save for that potential home would decrease. Like, I have the money to move, but it's like, I mean, I'm sorry, to buy a home, but it's like, you want to continue to save. It's like, I wouldn't be able to continue to, like, it would be going into that rent. So anyway, I'm just weighing options at this point. I'll do, once I get back out to like really actually actively looking and to buying a home. If I go rent, I won't talk about that. But once I get back out to really actively looking to buy a home, I'll make another podcast about that experience. I have a realtor. She's great, It's just really about finding that home. So that's why I say I got a lot going on this year. I haven't given up hope. It's just that it's a process, and people periodically like, are you still trying to buy a house? Yeah, I am. It's just I have to find the house, and then once I sign my lease, I'm not really into breaking the lease and looking for subletters, and I'm not doing that. So that's that. But I have been looking, potentially like, oh, maybe I'll go find somewhere else to rent. So that's like the new thing that I've kind of been, I'm not obsessed with it, but I've just been looking like, well, because I really haven't been, I've looked like really super briefly, but I really was like looking like what is out there, because there have been a lot of new properties that have gone up in the last couple of years. I'm like, I never even heard of these places before, so I don't know. So that's kind of the new thing. But yeah, anyways, I say all that to say this. Be on the lookout in the next, it won't happen for a bit, but I will do an updated kind of buying a home podcast episode soon, once I go back and get back up out there. But it's challenging, and I'm like, y'all done bought up all the houses. I mean, what about the rest of us? We want to buy a house too. So yeah, that's that. You ever have someone or know someone that all they want to talk about is like negative things? And this is interesting because I used to be very pessimistic, and I can be pessimistic. I like to think of myself as a realist, but I mean, like, when I say negative things is I don't watch the news, and I know my mother would be like, girl, you need to know what's going on. It's so funny because she used to tell me this, and now she watches the news, but not all the time. Like, I would say there may be a day where she may not watch the news, where she used to watch the news every day. So I don't know why that, but I barely know. And there's a reason for that. There's a few. I hate to hear, because you watch the news and it's like, this person got stabbed, the other one got shot, this person. It's so, and as someone who's experienced a lot of loss, tragic loss, I'm like, I don't want to, you get that call, you heard about, did you see it on I don't watch the news, and you turn it on and you like, oh man. So I just had, I'm not going to say it's triggering. It probably is triggering, but but also you're on social media. I'm looking at, this comedian skit, but then you go and, because I follow the Shade Room, so-and-so died by mass shooting over, and like, you don't think about the Shade Room, but they would have, but they report on everything. So okay, I just went off on a tangent. Okay, but internal rambles follow me. Okay, here we go. But you have these individuals, like, you would think that they were CNN or the local news station, because they could be your coworker or I'm not talking about a friend, by the way. It could be a friend though. But they gonna tell you every traumatic, tragic news event. You could be talking about a shirt you bought, or they could be a coworker. Y'all could be conversing on the plan for the day, or maybe there's an issue you're trying to work on. Did you hear that so-and-so's mother died? And that's sad. No, I didn't. Did you hear about that shooting in Colorado? I definitely didn't hear about that. No, I didn't. Oh, okay. Did you hear about that drought? I'm sorry. In Nebraska? I don't know nobody in Nebraska. I definitely didn't hear about that drought. They ain't had rain in 37 days. It's horrible. But I didn't hear about that 37-day drought in Nebraska, because I don't know. And I'm not really sure what that be about sometimes, because certain things be pertinent, like when, someone that you're connected with, family member pass away. Yes, that's something that I would want to know so I could support them. But that drought in Nebraska, I'm sorry, that's, natural disaster. I wouldn't know about that though. Like, it's draining to constantly hear about negativity like that. Did you hear about that baby that was left in the car in Tennessee for 17 hours? They survived, but the mother just went on a crack binge and left that baby. I didn't hear about that story of the mother that left the baby in the car and went on a crack binge, but the baby survived, but left the baby in the car for 17. I wouldn't hear about that. Did you say Tennessee? I didn't hear about the baby. I don't watch the news. That wouldn't come across my feed typically. But also I know that, shade room, but I didn't hear about the baby in Tennessee. I mean, what is that? Like, people that they latch on. Like, I believe, and I said this before, the eyes are the window to our soul. I mean, the ears too got to be the window to the soul. I don't want to hear all of these negative stories all the time. And and I'm not a morning person. I don't know. I used to say I'm an afternoon person. I don't know what type of person. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to get through the day. I don't know what type of person I am anymore. I'm just trying to have some sort of contentment and make it through the day, live my best life, live the best life that I can, and abide by, try to, make, follow God as much as I can, and just be okay in life. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just out here trying to make it. So it'd be so much going on all the time. We really live in a time. Life is hard naturally. So to hear these stories, like people struggle in the field that I'm in, the mental health field. We already hear some of the worst stories ever. I don't need additional. Don't keep sprinkling this negativity. I didn't hear about that baby in Tennessee that was in the car for 17 hours. I wouldn't have. I always wonder about these individuals. And people that oh yeah, this and this and it didn't directly affect them, but they want you to, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. But it didn't even happen to that person, but they want that. Oh, what can we do to support you? It didn't even happen to this person. What is that attention seeking? It is definitely attention seeking behavior. It's monopolizing energy. I do know kind of what it is. I don't feed into that. If it, it's draining. It's negativity. I say all that to say this. Protect your this is something that I've been saying periodically. Protect your peace. Sometimes you can't, depending on like family members, coworkers, even sometimes, I mean, I don't even know, like you may be in a situation where you have to be around certain people for a few days. You could be on vacation. I got some story. One day I may tell you some vacations. I have had great vacations, but I've been in situations where, those group vacations, they tell you learn about who a person really is if you live with them or if you vacation with them. Okay. My close friends, I've had great vacations with my close friends, but it be the people I don't really know you like that. Yeah, it's been rough. And now I've only had like 2 situations, and it wasn't even that bad, but it's just like, this is why I don't want to travel with people I don't really know like that. But anyways, and I've talked about situation I had with someone that I used to be friends with and I lived with them. But protect your peace, child, because people will really just be on other level stuff. And I'm like, you could be, starting your day, I'm still trying to learn how to make. I'm making coffee in a different way, and sometimes I make coffee, and I can't, I should not have coffee every day, and so I try not to, but it get rough sometimes, and so I'm making I have a Keurig and I don't use it anymore. I've been doing like the instant coffee, like the Folgers. I do different coffees. I can't make it great every day, but every now and then I get that nice cup, and that just be like, yes, that'd be the great. I'm wondering if I should go back to my Keurig, but anyways, and that'd be like a great start to my day sometimes, and then, or, maybe you run some errands and you're feeling good, and then you get a text from somebody, you be like, "Child, what?" Or you out and about, or you go to an event or whatever. Like, people just be people, and. And so as someone who I said, like, people's energy just be affecting me, I just have to just learn to just redirect myself. So that's that. I just don't understand. I don't understand why people just want to. I know it be a lot going on, but we have to be mindful of just. You don't have to look at everything. You don't have to be on CNN and MSNBC and all of your local news channels. And Lord, I wouldn't want that energy. That's why I don't watch the news. But also, I think it's when you're talking to other people, we don't always want to be mindful. We don't want to always hear every tragic story that's going on worldwide. And I think people should be mindful of that. Be mindful of your audience. I think that's a lost thing for people. Not everyone wants us to hear these stories. I think people should be more mindful of that. Just saying. Okay, so let's change to some entertainment stuff real quick. So Todd and Julie Chrisley, who had a show or have a show, Chrisley Know Best, and they have turned themselves into prison. They were convicted last year of tax and fraud crimes, and so they are in prison. Todd Chrisley is serving 12 years in Florida, which is a minimum security facility, and Julie Chrisley is serving prison in Kentucky, and she's doing 7 years, and it's described as an administrative security federal medical center with an adjacent minimum security satellite camp, whatever that means. They were convicted of conspiring to defraud banks out of more than $30 million in fraudulent loans. The couple and their accountant were also convicted of tax crimes, including attempting to defraud the IRS and evade collection of delinquent taxes. So I used to watch Chrisley Knows Best, and I didn't watch every season, but I think I watched the majority of the seasons, and they were so funny. And they adopted their granddaughter, who is mixed black, and I mean, that's neither here nor there, but they lived a very lavish lifestyle. Todd Chrisley, I mean, him in prison, I don't know if he gonna make 12 years, child. And how old are they? Let me see if I can get their age, so Todd Chrisley, how old is he? He is 53. And Julie Chrisley, how old is she? She is 50. So, I mean, here's the thing, they don't be playing with taxes. Uncle Sam, we all know that Wesley Snipes went to prison for tax evasion. They don't play with that, that's why people say pay your taxes. That is important. So no one is above the law. I know that people can have indefinitely beat certain cases, but when it comes to that IRS, they don't play with that tax stuff. So it is a long time, 12 years, 7 years, and they have their granddaughter. I don't know how old she is. She's young, and they have a teenage son. I think he's about 16, 17, but I believe their daughter Savannah is going to take over caretaking for both of them. So I don't know. I don't wish nothing negative on nobody, but it's just really truly unfortunate. If it is true, I mean, they were convicted, so people think that if they did do what they said that they did, no one is above the law. And it's like everyone gotta pay their taxes, and if they were trying to get over, it's like, bruh, come on now. So it's unfortunate, and I do feel sad for the family, especially because they have little ones or younger, especially the little girls. So I don't know. I don't want to see people going to, I mean, it's like, it's a white collar crime, right? They didn't shank anybody, they didn't shoot anybody, but a crime is a crime. So we'll see. I pray that the family does well, especially the young girl, because she, the granddaughter, her parents struggled with addiction, so that's how the Chrisleys, Todd and Julie, adopted her. So, but I think they'll be fine. It's just, to have your latter years be in prison, that's trash, but yeah, so that's a little kind of entertainment stuff. And then this is neither here nor there. I don't really have any detailed information about this, but I was on Instagram like super briefly, and Tyrese and Tank were in the studio together. And so I was trying to follow what they were talking about, but I came in late and I was like, I don't know what's going on, and I got stuff to do. I gotta go. But if you know anything about Tyrese and Tank, I'm a huge fan of them. They created a super group called TGT. So it was Tyrese, Tank, and Genuine. Or should I say Tyrese, Genuine, and Tank. And they had one album, and then that went away. And so there were all these interviews, and it seemed like just really egos got in the way. And I don't think it was, I think it was all of them, and then some of them put differences aside, but then like Tyrese was still being diva-ish. So it was very hopeful that like Tank, and I think that they kind of made up or whatever. Because Tank was like, yo, let's work. But Tyrese was still like, I'm a movie star, I Voltron, and whatever he be doing. Genuine and Tank have been cool the whole time. So the fact that Tyrese and Tank has been, pushing the olive branch, and so the fact that they were in the studio was really like, okay, what we about to do? What's happening? Because we've been wanting another TGT. I loved that TGT album. To have these three powerhouses that were super successful in their own right come together was like kind of reminiscent of LSG. I think that was what they were trying to do, which was Levert Sweat, Gerald Levert, Keith Sweat, and Johnny Gill. So in that live, Tank and Tyrese were talking about the TGT album and like their singles, and they were like, should we have released a different single, and what was our best performance? So they were making a song together. So I'm not sure, and the TGT album was called Three Kings, and that was released in 2013. And so I'm not sure. I'm like, are y'all making? Like I said, I came in late and then I left, so it was unclear what they were doing. Were they trying something out? Genuine was not there, so it was just Tank and it was just Tyrese. So it was like, what are you guys doing? Are they trying it out? Are they seeing what's gonna happen? Because TGT is not TGT if Genuine isn't there, because like Tank and Tyrese is just TT, right? Sorry. My favorite songs off that album was I Need, Next Time Around, Hurry, Weekend Love, Lessons in Love. Oh God, I mean, I can. Oh my God, listen, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. It's a dope album. I just thought about it. I should have had maybe next podcast episode. I was not planning on doing. You know what? I have a song on the podcast. I wasn't gonna do a TGT song, but you know what? I'll pick one. I'll pick one. I'm gonna have 3 songs of the podcast today, because I had one. I'm gonna have 3. I wasn't even gonna do a TGT, but now that I'm going through this. But yeah, that album is awesome. Please check that out. So I was excited. I don't know what it meant. I don't know what it was. I don't know what they're trying to do. But if they could get it together, all 3, it got to be all 3 of them. Like Birdman, all 3 y'all. But it was hopeful that they were even in the studio and they were talking about the TGT album. So we'll see. Now, interesting enough, Tank said he was retiring. He better not. That boy better not yet. So yeah, it was a little kind of R&B. I don't know if it was news. I don't know what it was, because people be in the studio and then nothing happens. So, but it was exciting to see them together. So we shall see. And again, I've mentioned this. Check out Tank's R&B podcast, because he's had some really great episodes with some R&B. Him and Jay Valentine, he's had some really good episodes with Money Long. Babyface has been on there. Jamie Foxx, LaToya Luckett. I could keep going. R&B Money podcast, that's the name of it. And PJ Morton, Omarion's been on there. Kenny Lattimore. I could keep going. So yeah, it's a really super great podcast. So I would check that out. Okay? Okay. Okay, so I have a show recommendation, and then we'll get into my songs of the podcast, and then that's gonna be it for today. So, are y'all tired of my cooking show recommendations? I hope not, because they're gonna continue to happen, most likely. So, I now know why Netflix keeps increasing our rates. Netflix wants to be the be-all, end-all for us. Every time I finish a show, binge watching a show from them, then they recommend a new show. It used to be that Netflix would have like encore seasons from another network. So maybe it'll be a show on Fox or USA, or I don't even know. And they would have like the repeat seasons or encore seasons. Now they're creating their own content, their own shows. They have reality shows, they have game shows, they have cooking shows, they have dramas, they have comedies, they have movies. That's why they keep raising. They like, yo, we doing it all over here. We need the money to fund it. So this show had come up on my recommendations, but when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know about this. This doesn't sound very good, and how can this be fair, and blah blah blah. But I watched it and I liked it. My only fear, I don't know if it's a fear, my only concern about like all these shows that Netflix is kicking out is there's so many of them. I think a lot of these shows won't get renewed. It's like either you like them or you don't, and if you don't, if there's not enough interest, there's too many shows for Netflix to keep up and have multiple seasons of these shows. So you could really like a show, but if there's not enough viewers, they not gonna have 2, 3, 4 seasons of these shows. By the way, I'm just gonna say. But anyways, the show is called Pressure Cooker, and the quick synopsis of it is: living under one roof, 11 chefs use culinary skills and strategic plays in a tense cooking contest where they vote on who among them will win $100,000. Now, I will say this show stressed me out because some of the people that got voted off, I was like, y'all did not deserve to get voted off. Some of these people were jerks. But the person that won, I was like, okay, I'm okay with it. But yeah, it was some grimy stuff that was happening on this show. It was one aspect. I hope they change. If there's another season, I hope that they do change. But overall, I did like it. I enjoyed it. It had me on edge. My nerves was bad at some points. But yeah, it was a good show. I liked it. So that's Pressure Cooker on Netflix. I recommend it. Okay. I would love to know if I do recommend the show and you watch it. I would love to know your thoughts on it. You can always comment and interact with me on YouTube. Let me know about these shows if you do watch it after I recommend it, or any of my song recommendations. Speaking of song recommendations, let's get into them. And like I said, I'm going to have 3 now because I added one. So my first song recommendation is, I'm pretty sure I've had this as a recommendation before, but the song came up on a playlist randomly and I just kind of fell in love with it all over again. I hadn't heard it. But it is from Mr. Tank and is from his most recent album release, and it is called I Deserve. And it actually samples his song from back in the day, Maybe I Deserve. And I just really love the song. I love the vocals on it. And like I said, it was on a playlist that I was listening to. And I was like, oh man, I remembered I really, really love this song. And it's from his R&B Money album, similar to his R&B Money podcast. So I Deserve by Tank, and that is one of the songs of the podcast. And speaking of Tank, TGT, like I said, maybe they're doing another album. I don't know what Tank and Tyrese was doing in the studio. They were talking about TGT and that album, and I don't know. Okay, it's gonna be hard for me to pick one song. Oh jeez, I'm gonna pick the first song I thought of would be Lessons in Love. So I think I'm gonna have that be the one. It is a beautiful song. The vocals is vocaling. I'm gonna pick Lessons in Love for that one. But like I said, please just listen to the whole album. I mean, it's barely any skips. I think there's maybe only one song I didn't really listen to on that one. But for the most part, the whole album is just a great R&B album. And when you think about, like, I love Tank, I love Tyrese, I love Genuine. I've seen all three in concert. Amazing performance. Not well. The only thing I didn't like about Tyrese when I saw him, he had dancers that were not prepared. They didn't do well, but he did well. But I just I love all three individually. So to have them together in a group, ciao. So I hope they are going to do another album. So Lessons in Love, that's the next song. And then Offset, who, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the Migos right now. I'm not going to go there. But, you know, thinking about any of them, it just always just is very emotional just to think about any of the members of the Migos. But Offset has a new song with Hit Boy, and I know who Hit Boy is. He's a producer, but I didn't know Hit Boy rapped. I don't know. But nonetheless, Offset has a new song he released with Hit Boy last week, and I really liked it. I've been playing, it's been in heavy rotation. Any song that I have as a song of the podcast is a song. It could be a new song, it could be oldie but goodie, but it means that I'm loving it and it's in heavy rotation. And so this new song with Offset and Hit Boy was released last Friday, and it's been in heavy rotation ever since. And it is called Too Live. And I really, really, really like that song. So I'm giving y'all, listen, I'm trying to get y'all playlist together, okay? Or at least adding some new gems to it. So songs of the podcast today is I Deserve by Tank, Too Live, Offset and Hit Boy, and then also by TGT, Lessons in Love. Okay, so some R&B and some hip hop today. So thank you for tuning in. That just reminded me I probably am due for my top 5 albums from my favorite artists, and I'm not sure when that will come out. I haven't done one. What was my last one? I'm not sure. Oh, I did my top 5 Christmas songs. It wasn't albums, it was Christmas songs. So I could probably do another top 5 in the next month or two. But thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate every listen, every download. I do not take it lightly. I actually, my host site, they didn't do it my first year, but they did it this year. They did like my year in review, just kind of like my stats and whatever. And it was really amazing to see just kind of how my listenership has gone up and like my top podcast episodes. And I don't know, it just was nice to see that the difference in a year, and that people are listening to me, and just kind of like motivating to see that snapshot of and that progression that I've had in a year's time. So I truly, truly appreciate it. That was unexpected because, like I said, my first year podcasting, that wasn't done. Maybe because it wasn't a full year. I don't know. But that was really super cool to see. So like I said, I appreciate all of your listenings, all of your listens and downloads. And, tell your loved ones about your girl so they can get in on this content too. Take care of yourselves, please. And do what you need to do for you, because you matter. And if you are able to, take care of each other. And until next episode, this is your girl, Rochelle.